Hello, everyone. Sufit here. I'm here today with Chuck Ticker, author of Bobby Gets Bupkis, Navigating the Sibling Estate Fight. Chuck joins us today from thesiblingguy.com. Welcome, Chuck.
Hi, Sophie.
So we just finished shooting a video. It hasn't been published yet about why celebrities choose mediation. And after we finished the video, you had me so convinced that mediation is always the way to go that I'm thinking, why would anybody ever go to trial? Like, why? So I thought, you know what? Let's do a follow up video. And that's my question to you. Why would anybody ever go to trial?
I asked the same question, um, and and I tell people, at the mediations, look, even if you don't settle today, the odds are you're going to settle this case, or a judge is going to put pressure on you to settle this case before you get the trial. And I don't know what the statistics are. I've heard 95%. I've heard higher than that. 90, at least 95% cases settle before trial. So why would anyone go to trial? Well, one, maybe they have the financial resources, although a lot of people go to trial don't, and and uh, but even the ones that do end up spending so much money, could be hundreds of thousands of dollars, and even if they win, and this is what I tell parties, even if you win, you could lose. And what do I mean by that? Well, you could be out of pocket for legal fees because you may not get you're not going to get, in most cases, all your legal costs, even if you win, paid back to you by the other side. So there's actually been, I've seen reported cases where the parties are out hundreds of thousands of dollars, even though they won. They haven't won anything because they had to pay their lawyers. So, uh, look, I think it's some people are just so enthralled with their case. Um, and uh, so married to their case that they say, I can't lose. This is a sure winner. And no matter how many times you tell people there's no such thing as a sure winner in court, and even if their lawyers tell them that, there's just some people that are convinced they're right, or they're driven by such strong negative emotions against their sibling that they just lose sight of what's happening, and they just go blindly to court. And quite often they're in for a very bitter disappointment. So then they
So it
appeal,
seems
and then they lose. Maybe they appeal, and it's uh, that's the only reason I can think, because financially, it's just so prohibitive, the cost now to litigate a state dispute all the way through trial. And a trial is not usually a one day; it could be a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. In a will challenge case. So I don't see why, but we're obviously still seeing people that are going that route. But mediation is certainly taken off. And now, of course, in Ontario, in the jurisdiction where I practice, they're talking about, bringing in province-wide mediation being mandatory, which I think will be very helpful to the litigants.
so maybe it's not about the money. Is that possible that they just want to kind of stick it to them? Or I mean,
I think, well, it's sometimes, the clients will say it's a matter of principle. I don't care about the money. Well, it's if it's not about money, I'm not sure. Other than that, if it's a will interpretation case, I don't know what you're doing in court, because that's what judges do. They award the winning party money in most cases. But if it's not about money, it's just like I said, they're just driven by this animosity, and they feel that they feel they haven't been heard. They want the judge to hear their story, and and sort of vindication of what they believe in and what they've been through. And what I try to tell the parties is, quite often the judges aren't going to that be that interested in your story, and I always say there's three sides to every story. There's your side, there's the other side, and then there's the judge's side. So who knows what the story is at the end of the day? But I think that's why people sometimes want to go to court, because they feel that they haven't been heard. and they feel so strongly about it, they want to tell it to the judge.
But can't they be heard at mediation?
Well, yes, and I think that's why I'm so passionate about mediation, because to be successful at a mediation, you have to listen and listen to the story and take the time to listen. Um, and and be an active listener, and we can talk about that in another video, but it's so important to the parties that someone is hearing what they have to say and is sort of empathizing with what they have to say. And that's a huge part of the process.
All right. Well, you have clarified this issue for me by making it clear that people really are crazy. I mean, that's my personal feeling. Why would you ever go to trial? But anyway, um, our guest today has been Chuck Ticker, mediator and author of Bobby Gets Bubkus, Navigating the Sibling Estate Fight. Chuck, thank you very much.
My pleasure.